What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, I'm finally back on that plane content grind today with the FT Explorer. Unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of flying opportunities here out at my park. This is the major hub for my city's rec soccer leagues. So unfortunately on the weeknights and on the weekends, it's really a madhouse and there's no place to fly any airplanes or anything like that. So I've been holding off on that content and mainly doing FPV content, which again, I will continue to do. However, you can expect to see more RC plane content here coming very, very soon. Now, I don't have a lot to talk about today, so let's go ahead, get out to the field, and check this plane out. All right, so here we are with the FT Explorer. As you can see down here, I do have a stick cam now, and a lot of you guys have been commenting, asking me for that, so I'm gonna go ahead and deliver that for you, and hopefully that'll help you with your own flying. Without further ado, I think we have all of our pre-flight checks done. Let's go ahead and get this puppy on up in the air. Oh yeah, nice and easy. I'm gonna go ahead and start just by feeling this plane out as I usually do. I have not flown this plane in a little bit. That would be like 3 months or so. And it's definitely something that really, honestly, a lot of the planes, like these foam board planes that you leave for months and months, tend to get warped. But thankfully, since this foam board was new at the time, this is gonna be something that is relatively still intact. It does have that carbon fiber aero shaft in the wing, so there's not a lot of warping the wing, although there is no dihedral, so sometimes it even looks like it has a little bit of negative dihedral on it. But as you can see here, it still does fly well. I've been checking the range on all my control surfaces, doing a few little barrel rolls. The first one I did was a little bit sketchy, but hey, sometimes you gotta live your life on the edge, and that's what I really like to do, especially with this foam board here. As you guys might know, this stuff is pretty easy to replace. I mean, it does take time, but it's relatively inexpensive just to go ahead and rebuild parts as you break them. But I have no intentions on crashing this. Make no mistake, as usual. There's a full throttle pass, and this thing has plenty of juice on it. If I remember correctly, the major modifications I made to this, of course, were the carbon fiber aero shaft as a spar reinforcement in the wings, so no dihedral for sport flying. And then I also shortened the tail boom a few inches, which makes it a lot nicer, better elevator control all around, and a little bit snappier rudder control too, which is nice for coordinated turning, which is something that is relatively important on this plane. Other than that, cosmetically, I did make a new nose shape, kind of a sky van design for this plane, and I'm really happy with how this build turned out all together. This is definitely one of my best flying planes that I've ever made. It's just super sporty even for such a large wingspan. I believe it's nearing 60 inches of wingspan. And that is like almost glider wingspan. I believe it's the similar wingspan to the FT Simple Store, which is a glider, and I have one of those as well. But this thing is just so fun. It is, I mean, one of those planes that you just really cannot get enough of. It has a nice glide slope, as you guys might assume, with those big wings there. Glides around very, very nicely. And of course, it is very, very powerful, as you've seen, and maneuverable. So I think we've got the best of both worlds for one of these Sky Surfer style pusher airplanes. And it can be set up as a really good trainer too, but you can see very, very aerobatically capable here as well. The only thing that I really wish I could improve would be the elevator surface area. It's not as, as responsive as some of the other control surfaces, even though it does have that shortened tail boom. It is such a big, long airplane, so I don't really think I can fault it. But the elevator could be a little bit larger, and maybe for my next rendition of the tail, or on the next plane I build, I will go ahead and enlarge the elevator just so I have a little bit more snappy control to pull out of dives and loops and things like that. That's a full elevator loop there, and I mean, it could have been a lot tighter. So just something to think about. I always like to make those mental notes as I'm flying, especially since foam board affords you to make these custom modifications. It's just really, really nice to have that ability to go ahead and make these changes throughout your designs. It's an interesting flying inverted plane. It definitely can do it, but just considering that the roll rate isn't that good, I don't like to fly this plane inverted as much as some other planes like my FP Scout, Simple Stick, or any of the smaller minis. Just because, again, it takes a little bit of time to get it rolled over 180, so it's not really a insurance policy should I need to get it flipped around. So that's why I'm flying inverted here, and I just go up super high. And it also doesn't really turn that well inverted, so you have to do some really good coordinated turning, but you also have to remember that the rudder is backwards. This plane, like I said, hugely depends on your ability to use coordinated turning, and that's why it flies really well as a 3-channel airplane as well. So the rudder, I would almost say, is a little bit more important than the ailerons, and that's, again, why you don't have to build it with the ailerons. But this is just one of those things where this plane is a little bit more advanced, especially in the 4-channel version, and flying inverted is made more difficult because you have to learn to use the rudder backwards. So yeah, it's just one of those things, but you know, as you improve, your flying will get better, and you will learn that, and then you'll be able to fly this plane a little bit more capably. This plane flies very, very nicely and is very relaxing, as you guys probably have noticed by now. I've been pretty much hovering around half throttle if you guys have been watching my hands down here, and it's just one of those things that I don't know. I mean, this plane flies really well at half throttle. I think it's most happy. That's a half throttle pass right there, and it still has a lot of good power on there, but full throttle isn't almost even necessary with this Sunny Sky 2216 1250 kV motor and the 9x6 prop there. So I don't know, if you build it with the B pack, I actually built my initial Explorer with the 2212 motor that was like 1000 kV instead of this motor here, and it just was a little bit underpowered. So that's something that definitely you have to think about with this plane, just because, you know, it depends on what the style of flying you want to do. If you want to do sport flying like this, you may benefit from having extra power, but as a beginner, sometimes even going too fast, especially with a wing that's not modified like mine, you can fold this wing very, very easily, and I have done that on past Explorers. Anyway, as you guys might have heard there, my radio was counting down the timer, which I actually ignored, so let's go ahead and start putting this thing in for a landing, or at least doing some practice approaches. As you guys might have seen in my other Explorer videos, you can hand catch this plane very, very easily. So that's something that if you guys are interested in that, there's a huge draw to this airplane and others like it. There really isn't any wind tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and just bring it towards me. So we're going to go ahead and go far away and come right towards me, so I'm not looking into the sun, and I can get a nice little approach coming on in here. That will do just like that. Again, later I might hand catch it, but for now I think this is just a perfect landing, already on the ground, and we're good to go. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, this plane is so much fun, and it's really sparked my interest once again for making more plane content for you. So let me know what you're interested in. And that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video.